All right. Jeff, would you open us up with prayer?
I absolutely will.
Thank you,
Sure.
sir.
Lord in heaven, we want to say thank you for tonight and just pray that as we continue that would you please just kind of sort through all of this technological nonsense and help us be able to communicate effectively and help Lee to be able to make it in and not have these little bugs that we've been having with sound and anyone else who's coming in later too. We pray for your blessing on our conversation tonight, that it'll be not only effective, but that'll build in level of excitement for us as we keep moving forward, as we get ready for the summit coming up in another few weeks. Thank you for Mark and Ann and all the work that they've put in to preparing for this meeting. We really know that there's one who wants to disrupt and who wants to get in the way. But Jesus, this is about you, and we're trying to focus our attention on building leaders for the future and joining you in doing that here in GCI. And we're excited about it in camp and mission ministry. And it is our desire to learn from you tonight, to hear from you tonight, to encourage each other, to learn from each other, and to be blessed with each other. So we thank you for all that you do for us and commit this evening into your hands. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Michelle, did you need to leave early? Or you were...
Yeah. I know it sounds weird, but my bedtime is really important because we've got a super long field trip tomorrow, so I just want to leave by 9.
No problem. Okay. Hey, we have video of Lee. Wow, that's very artistic.
The Burger Man.
Got the light coming from one side. That's lovely.
He's in the modern world.
All right. Well, let me share my screen, and we can get started here. All right. So we've already done the opening prayer and the welcome. And so tonight we are going, here's what we're going to try and cover. We actually bumped the bottom one up to the top. We're going to start with what do you hope to get out of the Camp and Mission Directors Summit in April. So we'll start with that one, and then we're going to touch on staff recruiting tips and best practices for both camps and missions. And then we're going to talk about the benefits and requirements of being a GenMin chartered camp, and then end with any Q&A. So let's start with the summit, and I know Jeff will want to chime in here since he's been doing all the legwork. We're getting to meet at the beautiful Deer Creek Lodge. It's probably got snow right now, does it, Jeff?
Yes, it does.
It has.
It's they got a little bit down there. I think it's probably cleared out by today. It's going to warm up, but we're getting some more tomorrow night. So, how about fun for that, right?
It'll be fun. So that's a week. That's a month away. Hard to believe, and I'm not sure if everybody's registered, but it's really close, isn't it, Jeff?
Yeah. I gave them the numbers. I think everybody on the call, and I think all of our folks, all of our teams of the people who are coming have registered, so we're good.
Excellent.
I know we're going to have, looks like we're going to have 32 people there, and also it'll be a nice intimate group of folks.
Great.
Part of what we want to find out tonight is, as we talk about what you're hoping to gain out of it, is just how we set up the room, how we set up the main room that we're going to be in, that the one breakout room. It's one of our other breakout rooms, but it's large enough for us with a 30. And so how do we set that up? So I want to be able to give them that on Monday, and then just start working our plan as we get close. So I'm excited about it. But I think everybody's there. Everybody's coming has registered, and we'll have about, I think, 32 people altogether.
So we had a meeting earlier this week with Jeff to just kind of fine-tune the schedule for the summit. But what we'd like to do is we have a month still yet to rearrange things, and we want to find out what you hope to gain out of the summit. What do you gain? That's supposed to be you hope to gain. What do you hope to gain out of the summit? And I want to open the floor to anybody who has anything to comment. You know, it could be just as simple as I hope to rub shoulders with other people that have the same passion I do. But yeah, go ahead and share. You can unmute your mic. I'm going to add hope in here because that's going to drive me crazy. Hope to. There we go. What do you hope to gain out of the summit?
Lee's typing right now. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, as I've always been able to receive from these meetings is ideas, sharing of ideas. We're doing a different camp this year, in that we're going to do a neighborhood camp after doing 29, more regional camps. But always these meetings have been good, just listening to others' plans, getting ideas that we can possibly use. So I'll be listening and taking notes.
Yes, it's a great place to generate creative thoughts. I know that when we were just camp directors back in Texas, the Camp Directors Summit, we'd get up and share some best practices, and I know Mark and I got some great ideas from listening to what the other camps are doing. So we do have a session planned for a place where we can share some of the things that we're doing at our camps, where we're going all in at our camps. And hopefully there'll be a time where we can even get the day camps all together, and they can talk and brainstorm and dream about what they can do to make the day camps the best that they can be. So I'm glad you're going to be there, Mike. Anybody else?
Yes.
Michelle.
So we've talked about resources a lot, and I know, actually, Jeff, you asked me to do this in January, and I have not done it for you, but you said at GC Ignite, Anthony Walton put together some group games, and you said, Michelle, I want you to get me a list of these games, and then let's give it to Melinda, and we can share that with other camps. So my thought is having those resources, like what are some ideas for group games, or maybe even brainstorming online and having resources available to suit different camps' needs, because some camps might need to have a block party or group games or like a filler activity that takes 10 minutes, and I feel like it's beneficial to have something that's really easy to follow. And if all camp directors know, like, oh, just go to the GCI website, click on this, and then there are different types of games to suit your needs, or different activities for when it's rainy, just so that people have to think less and maybe we can do the thinking for them, I feel like would be kind of nice.
Awesome. When you were talking, Michelle, I went ahead and opened up the GenMin training Google Drive, and you should all have access to this. I'm pretty sure I sent access to everybody, didn't I? Did I? I made it. I made it editable, so right here it's 2018 Camp Curriculum all in, but I think this is the folder that I made editable. We can put in there, we could make a folder just for games, and like you could have subfolders for, like we said, you could have a subfolder for rainy day games or outdoor games, indoor games. Under each folder, then you can put a document that has like a link to a YouTube video of a fun game to play. These are links. So this is a Word link. If you double click on it, it'll bring up a YouTube video to watch for the Nike Air Olympic commercial, which
You have to copy that.
and you just copy that into your URL, and some people might be able to hyperlink to that. It doesn't. I think you have to open the Word document to hyperlink to it. This is opened in Google Docs. But right now, this seems like the easiest way because I've made it editable. All of you should be able to create folders and add things, and we should be able to fill up all of these folders with helpful things and share all the research that each one of us does. So right now, this is just about the curriculum, general resources, heart, soul, mind, strength, and neighbor. So being all in.
And can I add this? Because I know that if you just go ahead and make a folder for either that says group games somewhere in there or somewhere in that drive, I know that Judy Hoban a number of years ago with at Pathways put together a bunch of games for like Minute to Win It and stuff like that, just kind of ways that they do stuff, and it has the write-ups for all those games and ways to do it, and I'd love to just kind of get those from her, plop them in there as well, for the things you can do. So I think that would be helpful.
Okay, I think I might make that a separate folder
Okay.
here because it's not necessarily curriculum related.
Right.
It's kind of something that we could do, every year. So so I'll do that, and then I'll resend the link out just in case you didn't get that link. But
Okay.
and feel free to share that link with all of your staff. It's not just for camp directors. I mean, it's anybody who's going to be involved in the programming and in the curriculum development. If you've got a chapel speaker or somebody that is going to be needing access to that and wants to look through the resources, or you have somebody who's a great researcher and always sending you links to stuff, give them that URL and they can get on there. If anybody with the link can get in there and edit that Google Drive. So yeah, it's great to share. The networking aspect of being part of this team is incredible, and I think that's why our camps are so good. And all our mission trips too, because we learn from each other and we can share resources. So, anybody else have anything they want to?
Do you see Lee's comment there?
Oh,
Ann?
I don't. I can't on my screen. It doesn't show. But Mark has it, or can you read it, Jeff?
Yeah, I'll read it.
Okay.
Lee says.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead, Mark.
He doesn't have a microphone. Real nice.
You
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead and read it.
I'll read it. Okay. Lee says, "What I hope to get from the summit: a chance to see lots of dear friends. I'm a social creature. Hear stories of good past experience of new camp leaders. Listen to camp leaders and share our Crossing Borders experience about how we can incorporate missions focus into all of our camps." Amen to that.
Amen and amen.
And I am so looking forward to that. As a matter of fact, as I was going through the GenMin manual earlier today, or GenMin handbook earlier today, I found something that actually was just it was just validating to that very point. And if you don't mind, I'd love to read it to you.
Okay.
It goes back to our actual mission and our vision. Where was it? We were just in our strategy in our strategic look here. Our GenMin mission statement says, as a ministry of GCI USA, Church Administration and Development, GenMin outfits churches for cross-generational, mission-focused, for a cross-generational, mission-focused journey with Jesus. That's our mission. So we've got to do things generationally. We've got to do things with a mission focus, and we got to focus on how do we help with this journey with Jesus. And that, to me, that is the ultimate validation that we need to hear what happens at Crossing Borders, and we need to hear what happens in local missions, and we need to hear what happens in some of these other international places, because it will help us in that cross-generational mission-focused work. So I just wanted to share that as I was going through that again, that validation has been there all along. It's just that we need to focus on it and spend more time with it too.
Amen. All right, so I'll go ahead and move on. And if you're listening to this video later and you want to drop Jeff or Mark or myself your thoughts on something you hope to gain out of the summit, please do, because we want to make sure that this is valuable. You spend money and time to get there, and we want to make sure that it's something that is worth your while.
Before you go on, let
Yes,
me share this. There was another. Michelle had a comment.
Oh, good.
Michelle Dingley says, "I would also like to offer that we could take videos of us, whether they are skits to be used at camp or instructional videos, to explain to the directors what our vision is for certain subjects. I can take videos and edit them. I'm no Joe Brennan, but simple videos could be made if we have free time or we want to make them." Michelle, you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I know for me as, an assistant director, I think, it'd be so great if we had camp skits or if we had fun little videos that were somewhat quirky, but getting around to doing it or meeting up with my people to plan ahead of time doesn't happen. So I don't know, what the schedule looks like for the summit, but if that's something that could benefit multiple people and people are interested, I would be happy we could work on skits like that, like maybe rules that all camps follow, or it could even be like an introductory video of like, what does it mean to be all in? And all of us directors who are there can say, I think it means this, this, this. And
Yeah.
it could even be kind of that video, whatever purpose it needs to be, I could kind of make something like that on a low, simple level.
Yeah. That'd be great. That'd be awesome. Yeah, let's be thinking about making the most of our time while we're all together. We could do some of those kind of 30-second bumper video that could be shown in the front of every chapel. What it means to be all in, or just be creative. I think Jeff and I were kind of talking about how maybe Mike Rasmussen could do something about skydiving and how it what it means to be all in. Like he
already has a video.
He has a video?
Of him skydiving.
Oh, he does.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
maybe we could write a dialogue to go over the video of that Mike already has of himself skydiving, and we could just talk about what that is like. Hey, Mike or me, have you ever been skydiving with Mike? With Rasmussen?
I have been along with him. I have not actually made the jump.
You haven't made a jump? Yeah, that's a whole topic in itself about the going up in the plane and what it takes to step out of that plane. I've never done it either, but I think that takes being all in. I don't think there's any half-hearted jumping out of a plane. So so let's think about that, Michelle. I think that's a great idea to use our time. SEP just bought a small SEP SoCal just bought a small video camera for our camp. So I'll bring that down, and we can even use that to shoot footage as well. And I think you can even edit on there. If nothing else, you just dump it on your computer, and we can edit stuff real fast. So let's be creative, because I think it would be great to have a lot of resources that we can all share like that.
And
So
even if no one really uses it, it would be, worst case scenario, it's a fun memory for us, and we could show it to the people to be like, don't you want to come to camp or be a part of GCI? Look at these people who believe in it, whatever. Yeah,
we could put it on the website, to say this is our theme this year. Throw it up on Facebook. Yeah, that's great.
I know one of the traditional, this is Stan.
Hi, Stan.
I know that one of the traditional skits that we do at the beginning of camp to try and talk about common courtesies and this sort of thing, we draw a contrast between our camp and Camp Run Amok.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is how they do it at Camp Run Amok. This is how we do it here. That sort of thing.
That's good. Yeah. Good old Run Amok. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on real quick to staff recruiting tips and best practices. The first tip, I think you all know this, we all start with this, and that's just to pray, pray, pray. We need God to fill our camps with great staff. And I'm pulling this thought from a webinar that we did with Jeff. It was I think it was our first webinar back in 2015.
October 2015.
And Jeff talked about recruiting with the end game in mind, knowing what the vision is. And I just wrote this in here. People don't need more to do, but they'll join a cause and they'll rearrange their schedules if they see and share in that vision. And Jeff referred to Simon Sinek, which probably most of you have seen his Why TED Talk, but he's got a book called Start with Why. And the quote that Jeff used was, any organization can explain what it does. Some can explain how they do it, but very few can clearly articulate why. And if you know why you do camp, you can communicate and recruit with a passion that goes beyond like, hey, we're really short on staff. Can you, if you wouldn't mind, could you come help us? Like a begging kind of thing. Instead, capture their heart with why you're doing what you do, and they might be willing to take their only week of vacation or rearrange something or go without pay if they get inspired with the why. These are going to be some practical tips, and I want you to chime in if you have something to add to it. But once you get the prayer and you know why you're doing it and you're communicating, here are just some very practical tips for recruiting staff for your camps and your missions trips. You guys know a lot of these, so I'm going to whip through these really fast, but just re-recruit your best staff from last year. Melinda Helsher did something last year. She wrote each person individually and said, we consider you to be one of our best staff from last year, and we would love to have you come back. And I can't tell you how many staff were floored. They were like, what? I'm one of your best staff? And like we're after you. In other words, it's not just like I hope you're free and available to come to camp. We were chasing them down, and it really made a difference. And they actually applied earlier. So say thank you in so many ways, and I have to thank Melinda for doing this. She wrote thank you cards to all of our staff right after camp this year, and I sent some to some of our leaders, but she did thank you cards to all of our staff, and you can do things along the way and remember them at different times of the year just to let them know that you really value them. Invest in them. Sometimes you can send them to classes, seminars, you can send them articles to read that show that you're really wanting them to be better missionaries and better counselors. And it shows that you're thinking about them throughout the year. And then share the ownership of the camp with them. Help them, give them creative license to design things. Help them feel a part of the decision-making process. And then I think a lot of your people who you want to come back will feel invested that way. Are there any other tips on getting people to come back on staff the next year?
I think as a part of what you were saying there, Ann, in saying thank you or letting them know when you recruit them because they were some of your best staff members, I think just validating for them that they get the why of this camp. They get the why of this mission trip. They understand our why, and they help promote it. Saying that and making it and just validating that will get people, when you celebrate it, you'll get more of it. And I just feel like we need to really celebrate the fact that these people are already giving up their time. They're already giving up their vacation because they believe in the why. And I just want to point that out to them. Let's just point it out and say thank you for focusing on not just the how and the what, but starting with the why. That's huge. So I just keep that up. You guys do a great job of it already, but let's keep doing that.
That's good. I like celebrating what you want to see more of. That's very good. Anybody else? Okay, number 2 is recruiting former campers. Young people who were campers last year or in previous years and are now old enough. And a lot of those kids that came to camp 2 or 3 years ago might think you forgot about them. But, go on your Facebook page or wherever you might have connections with those campers. And maybe they went to college and you kind of forgot, or they kind of thought, well, they forgot about me and they've moved on and I'm not needed. If you just reached out to them and sent them a message or called them, they might be really feel honored. Wow, you remembered me from when I was a camper? And, catch up on what they're doing and see if they have a free summer. A lot of college students do have their summers off, and they're making plans right now for what they're going to do this summer. So, and for missions, I would say, go to a camp, go attend a camp, be on staff, and recruit the heck out of those campers. Get them to come to your mission trip. I know that Janet Morrison comes to our camp, I think 50% at least, if not more, for that reason. She's got her eye open. She's looking for those leaders that are popping and who she might want to take on her next trip. Any other thoughts on recruiting former campers?
So how do you feel about former campers that just finished up last year as counselors?
I think each camp has their own culture and the way they do that. And I know for some, they run them through a training program, a counselor in training, CIT or crew kind of a program. That's kind of what we do. We have a thing called crew where they're not quite full staff, so they're in a separate category, but they're learning how to be staff and they're getting trained that year. We also, some campers, wow, they're ready to be on staff at 16, but we still ask them to be leaders within the camp as campers. But we'll run them through one of our tracks called Counselor in Training. And when they come out of that track, they're so ready to be on staff that I have them skip crew and just apply to be on staff. So it really depends on the person. But we try really hard not to have any staff under 18. It just really helps with the legal things and the never alone policies. But I know some camps have a different way that they work it. So I'll let anybody else speak to that if they'd like to.
Hey, Ann, it's Todd.
Hi, Todd. Welcome.
Hi. I like the question. We've all faced that situation, and I know there are times when you get spread so thin that you would strongly consider that. I know one thing that we try to have our counselors do is to spot those kids that are showing signs of leadership, and then to give them responsibility.
Yeah.
That kind of starts to set them up for counselor in training and crew, because now they're starting to get a little bit of a taste of what it's like, and they can decide, okay, well, maybe this is for me. You know, the rare extraordinary camper that's ready to become a counselor right out of the ranks of the campers is rare.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a big roll of the dice, and it can be quite risky. I mean, we have seen it happen both ways, where it worked out just absolutely wonderfully and where it crashed and burned. You know, we thought they were ready. They said they wanted the responsibility, but we had to rescue them in the middle of camp. So, you know, those are the things that are there. I wouldn't do it unless you just have to.
Yeah.
And I would add, this is Jeff, I would add that part of what we could do there too is when you call that up in them, and let's do it. This is what we're focused on, is developing and recruiting and creating on-ramps of leadership for this next generation of young people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be messy. Yeah, they're gonna be young. I do think there's a wisdom to making sure that they're 18, because then you don't have housing issues and all that kind of stuff. But you can give them levels of leadership within the camp, but I don't want us to focus solely on things that are happening within the camp or the mission. I want us to always begin with that further end in mind, that they're going to be stepping, that we'd like to see them step into leadership in GCI or in the local church that they're in, or in that local community where they are, because it can be easy for them to see leadership solely in the environment that we're placed in that camp or mission trip or that day camp. But we really want to start planting in them at the same time the desire that we have for them to serve in local churches. And so if you've got adults, multi-generational folks in your camp or in your mission, connect them with them and start having them also have conversations about what they're doing here at camp or the mission in the local church. So I want us to be intentional about adding that piece to the puzzle as well.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, that's awesome, Jeff. I love your big picture perspective, and I think, you know, we are developing leaders, you know, not just for camp, but we're developing leaders for their local churches, for GenMin, for GCI, and for the kingdom. So, good word. Anybody else? Okay. Number 3, offer incentives for current staff and missionaries to bring new staff. So you can give a gift card, a gift. I was talking to Sarah Miles, and she did something for her campers last year at SEP Rockies, that they gave out a hoodie to the first, if you registered for camp in the first 8 days. And she said it seemed silly, like you think that giving them $50 off the tuition would be more inspiring, but those hoodies caught on, and the kids were nagging their parents, get me registered. So maybe you could do something like that, like you could make some kind of a gift or have some kind of a gift for those who bring a new staff member. That's just one possibility. Or you could comp their staff or missions fee if you have one. I know a lot of people charge their staff $100, or the missions trip, of course, is to give them a discount if they can recruit one other staffer to come along. So you got to have the funds to do that, of course, but you never know. There might be somebody who's willing to find one of your more well-off staff might have money that they'd like to donate toward an incentive program like this. Any thoughts on this, or anything else I'm missing on incentives?
No, that's a great idea.
You could always have a cruise like Marty.
That'll work.
I just don't know why I haven't been invited down there.
I know. How come we haven't been invited to that cruise, Michelle?
I know. It's been a while. It's been a while since we did the cruise, but we still call ourselves Cruising for Christ because we don't want to change our charter.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, that's not.
Well, you're in Florida, and they did people cruise all over Florida.
Oh, hey,
so
cruising for Christ
Yeah,
is
man.
good.
that's good.
I like it.
I wouldn't change
We'll
it.
probably do it again one of these days too.
Okay, number 4, reach out to campers and missionary families. You guys probably already do this. You probably tap everybody that you can possibly hit up: parents, grandparents, older siblings, neighbors. If you have any teachers in your camp community, get them to reach out to their teacher co-workers, because teachers should have their summers off, right? Is Michelle still with us? Right, Michelle? Teachers are great because they've already worked with kids and they're talented and they've got summers off. So if you can get into a teacher network, that's a great way to reach out. JCI pastors in your region, and you can email them, but honestly calling them is probably way better. And if you have the time, you could visit their church and do a little presentation. You never know which of those grandparents just inherited a grandkid that now they're raising and they want to send them to camp. That just happened to us yesterday. I found out that one of the shut-ins in our church, who I reached out to, is now raising her 12-year-old son. So we walked over there yesterday,
Oh my God.
and we met little Henry, and we're going to get him to camp. So, you just never know. Don't think just because they're a house church or you only have 12 people that
Or a shut-in. Or
that
somebody
they're
who
not-
doesn't come anymore.
they might not have somebody they know that could go to or could be on staff. And help the pastors to see the benefits, because if you don't have any youth in your church, but maybe you send a staff member, you just never know what will happen. You might actually grow a little youth group out of that. So, yeah,
Can
Jeff?
I add something in? And because I think part of what happens too is that if you reach out as the director or the mission director, if you reach out to those pastors and you call them up and they don't know who you are, you introduce yourself to them and you tell them the why, and you tell them that this isn't just about kids. We're an intergenerational ministry, and we would love to have. Well, I got a bunch of old people. Amen. We love old. Listen, you don't know the things that they can do. We've got tracks where they can maybe teach something, teach how to work on a car or whatever skill set they have. You get to share with that pastor our why.
Yeah.
And it's coming directly from you as the director or one of your key people. Because honestly, so many of them have only read about it if they see it in the equiper or in some email, or they hear about it in passing. A phone call from you, and if any numbers that you want or any help you want from me or Mark or Ann in doing that, or Melinda, man, we are in it. We're in it with you. So
That's a great word, because they might be thinking of camp as they know camp, and they don't understand how multi-generational our camps are. And so you can help them just knock down those obstacles of all the reasons why they don't think that somebody from their congregation could be on staff at a camp. So that's a great word. Thank you. Also, reach out to other camps in the GenMin network. And I put national and international because there are other camps around in Canada, Australia, the Philippines. Like, if you were offered to help them get here, and I know that's a pretty penny, but once again, you might have somebody on your staff who's willing to cover their airfare and get somebody here from another camp.
Cuba.
And I'm so sad. We had
Cuba, Australia.
He calls himself Dids Radubin. I forget what his first name is, but his nickname's Dids, and he's from the Philippines. And he was on board. He submitted his application to come to SEP SoCal, and then his visa got denied. It was so sad because I was really excited about having him here. He sounds like a go-getter. But do reach out to our camp network, and you can post it on the GenMin Facebook wall that you're looking for staff. You can email, call, send a packet of marketing material to pastors. Mention it at the Camp Director Summit. I still need these 6 different staff members. If you know of anybody, we're willing to help them with their travel. And we're here to help each other out. And I know sometimes you love to staff it completely yourself, but sometimes we just get in a jam, and we need that one extra guy counselor, that one extra.
But it also expands.
But we're all investing in the kingdom. So the whole thing is, like Jeff said, we're not just thinking our small mission trip or our small camp. We're thinking build the kingdom and invest in these leaders that will take it into the next generation.
You make a good point there, Ann, with regard to building the kingdom. Now, one thing that's really fantastic about the Rock, and I imagine the other camps as well, is that it's not only multi-generational, but it's also multi-denominational.
Yep.
So,
And that's my next point.
okay. All right. There you go. All right.
Yeah.
I'll just let you take it then.
I thank you for saying that, Stan. I think a lot of our camps do have multi-denominations. I think we have over 40 at our camp, if you include campers and staff that are represented. And a lot of those are kids and staff that were brought by GCI kids and staff. But it's also, we've got neighbors that have jumped aboard, and they're some of our biggest fans of camp, and they're there every year. And so I think when you love camp and missions, you're going to grab them and bring them with you whenever you can. So I started with GCI and GenMin because that's of course who we are. We host it, we cover it, with the liability, and but obviously when you have a great need, if you have a minimum or you need staff to cover all the kids that are coming, you might have to reach out to a nearby church that isn't connected with a camp. I wouldn't recommend going in and trying to steal people from their own home camp, obviously, or missions. But there are some small churches that don't have a mission organization they work with, and they don't have a camp. And you can go in there and be a blessing to them, and they can jump right in and help you. We have a church here in Lemon Grove that we're friends with the pastor, and last year they brought 3 staff and about a dozen kids. And
this year
it's great because our community here in Lemon Grove, it's a small city. We've got a lot of kids who've been to SEP here, and from about 4 or 5 different congregations. And I love that. And youth pastors often make great counselors, great mission trip leaders, and they often bring their youth with them. So it's a good recruiting tool for campers too. The big thing here, and Jeff can probably speak to this, is just to make sure that they can support our theology, and that we stick to the main and the plain things, the root issues. We don't have to get off on, some of the more twiggy issues or the more debatable things. We've been doing this now for 16 years, and we've really not had any major problems with theology, people arguing theology. We just stick to God loves the kids, love Him, love your neighbor. I mean, that's our curriculum.
Within our own ranks.
And and if anybody starts to kind of get out there a little bit, we just rein them in and say, look, this isn't the place to promote your denomination. This is a GCI camp.
That's right. And it's vital that we have a clarity on that, particularly with our chaplains. That our chaplains are leading with our theological framework and our theological place setting. I know sometimes we invite even guest speakers and things to come in. I'm not saying we can't do that. What I'm saying is that we need to make sure that anybody who speaks, we're really trying to continue to build and prepare our young people for going back into GCI congregations. And so having guests come is a wonderful thing, but our chaplains, we need to make sure that we are allowing our theology to be passionately taught and passionately preached and passionately shared with our young people, because that'll help them too. That's the only downside of maybe having nearby churches, but the fact that you're bringing churches that are nearby your camp, you're now actually doing kingdom work, and that's what came up earlier. This is about the kingdom. Everything we do is about the kingdom.
Amen.
It's not about castle building; it's about kingdom building.
Amen.
So that will be really important though for us, and I need to make sure that we keep that as a priority. So, but keep it up. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, I think that's where the camp director or the camp, whoever's doing the admin part, make sure that they're in relationship and conversation with those people that are coming in from other denominations, so that you can have those conversations and make sure that, how is your chapel messages coming, and so and you trust them. I know we've had people outside of our denomination speak, but we're doing video calls ahead of time, and we go over the notes together. We work through it together, and we trust them. We've heard them speak many times, so we know they're not way off over here as far as they're in agreement with GCI theology. So that's very important.
I mainly brought that up from the camper standpoint because I know that our campers are just such a rainbow of
Oh yeah.
different denominations and even agnostics and all of that. But the
Yeah.
wonderful thing is they go to chapel, they get fed, and
Absolutely.
I've seen attitudes change dramatically as a result. So that's
And
why I
those,
brought it up.
and those kids are going to grow up and want to be on staff, and they might be going to a church down the street, and that's okay. And you just work with them. And our theology is so amazing, and it sets people free. So let's share it freely. Um, Along with that, you could reach out to Christian colleges that are nearby. Ministry degree programs often require volunteer and internship hours. And so if you're really desperate, I put this toward the end because this is just if you have you've got 10 guys and you have no counselor for them and you're just desperate. This is one way you can do it. Reach out to the main office, ask for the best way you can advertise. Maybe they have a bulletin board or some kind of on-ramp, technically, like some kind of a e-board, and just make sure that college, though, and whoever comes along, that they can agree to your statement of beliefs and your theology and the curriculum.
Yeah.
So that would be my only thing. It takes a little bit more work because you may not have a relationship with them, but this is a way that you can bring in maybe even an assistant counselor, somebody that's maybe not in a teaching role. Yeah, do you have something to say? No? Okay. Number 9, other possible places to look. Christian schools. Teachers usually have summer off. Recreation centers, babysitting services, winter resort staff. And this is just if you are really desperate to grab warm bodies and get them in there to help you staff. And I'd prefer not to ever be in that place, but I have been in this place where I am just, I go on my Facebook, I'll sit on my Facebook friend list and just go scroll and scroll and scroll and go, oh, wait, I knew that guy in college. I wonder, well, he was a great guy. I wonder what he's up to now. I mean, that's how, with a camp the size of ours, I've been, or like I lose a counselor a month before camp, and then I'm scrambling to try and find a replacement. So I'm sure some of you have been in that place. I'd much rather have people who are on board, they get the why, they've got the vision, and they're in with both feet 9 months before. But sometimes it doesn't always work that way. So these are just a couple ideas. Any other tips that I skipped, I missed? Anything that's really worked for you for staff recruiting, not camper recruiting, because camper recruiting might be a little bit wider and a little bit, you can use Google AdWords and Facebook ads and that kind of thing, but for staff, I don't usually use advertising for staff.
It's a little more
a little pickier.
A little more personal.
Any other thoughts on staff recruiting? Well, we're going to start and end with prayer on that. I'm praying you all can fill up, and you can fill all your beds, and you can fill all your staff positions, and you can get them early enough to train them. I know that is always a challenge. And if you get them earlier, then you have more time to work with them, and then you have less problems at camp. So feel free to send more tips if you have tips that you want to share. We'll go ahead and move on to the last topic of the night. We got 11 minutes left. Benefits and requirements of being a GMCO, a GenMin chartered organization. I think that's what it stands for, organization. First of all, just GenMin is here to serve and support GCI congregations first and foremost. That's why GenMin, Generations Ministry, was created. And so whether you're a GMCO or whether you're a day camp, I think all of our missions organizations are GMCOs, right? I think Lee's chartered, and I think Janet is chartered. But whether you're chartered or not, GenMin is here to serve you. We're here to equip you. We're here to share information and resources. So even if you're a day camp that's not getting chartered, we're still here for you. I wanted to make that clear right up front. But the benefits of being chartered, and Jeff, you can definitely jump in here if you think of more. These are the things that we talked about earlier this week. Number 1 is you have your own bank account. You're not sharing it with the church. Your donations go straight to your camp. They're not mixed in with the church's budget. And your insurance is covered by GCI. You're not paying for that. If you ever look on your budget, your line by line, that's not something you have to pay for. And your legal support is covered by GCI, and that's something that those two things can be costly to find good ones that will cover your little camp. So it's a great thing being chartered. Is there anything I'm missing about being chartered?
Yeah, the only other thing, one of the greater blessings, blessings, is that sometimes people or organizations would want to donate to nonprofits, and sometimes people will match, but they won't match if it's going to a church.
That's true.
But by being a chartered camp, you can use the name of your camp as that organization, and people can donate to Cruising with Christ. They can donate to Pathways Camp or Pathways Summer Camp, or they can donate to Crossing Borders Mission Trip. But they wouldn't want to do that if it is Centerpoint Church.
Right.
But that's an upside. But there's also the downside is or another upside of being a local thing is that if you're a local church, they're already there because they know you. You've invited them because they're in your local community. But that's just one other benefit.
With those benefits come expectations, and these are some expectations of the GMCOs, and this is important. The biggest thing is that we have to comply with the GenMin manual, which includes but is not limited to the following. Number one, we have to submit those dang financial reports. Sorry, no, they're awesome, but they can be if you don't like paperwork, they're a bit laborious. Hopefully you've got a treasurer that loves numbers and loves paperwork and can submit those things in on time. I think we have almost all of our reports in for last year, right, Jeff?
No, we got a few that we need to. I just put out a report the other day, and let me add this here because I was talking with our team, and it really is vital that every camp be in compliance.
Yep.
And what that means is even if you only use your bank account 6 months out of the year or 5 months of the year, you still have to submit a quarterly report.
Right.
And that quarterly report is really simply how much money is still in the bank for you, what's your banking summary, things like that.
It's not that.
The annual report. I'll make it easy for you. The report that you do at the end of the year, because the biggest part for most people is that narrative that we have to do.
That's the hardest part.
That's
I
the
totally
hard
agree.
But the report that you do at the end of the year after camp, that post-camp report, that can be your narrative.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's right.
Yep.
If you just take that same information and put it in a Word document, and submit that way we'll know, all we're doing is giving the IRS the ability to see what kind of things have gone on, your financial, once you do your budget for the year and, your bank statements and your financial statements. But we have to be in compliance.
Yes.
And what I'm going to ask everybody to do is make sure for every camp that you are, that you're up to date, or that you're at least have 2017 complete. I'll send you a message if you need to know if you are or need to be in compliance, just to let you know. But that is important because if we're not, this is one of those things that affects the entire denomination, not just our camp system.
That's right.
Those financial requirements in an audit, because we have monies in our bank accounts, we need to do that. So you have to have your treasurers be in compliance. So I'll be sending you some information out on that, and I'll help you. I'll help whatever we need to. Mark and Ann and I, we will help in any way possible to help your treasurer or help your folks get up to date. Right. So I need you. That's why we asked you earlier to check your signatories and to check your advisory committee,
your officers,
because that stuff needs to be your officers. It needs to be up to date.
Yep.
But that's important for 2017. And it was really due back in the beginning of March, but we really need to hop on that, and if we have to do some work on it at the summit, I'm willing to go hands on. We can go online and we can do some of that stuff together. Okay, but I need everybody to pay attention to that and take a look at your own statement.
In addition to that, we do need to submit the request reports. That there's a form that I think it's in Google Forms, that when you're done with your camp within 2 weeks, just fill that out. And that is the narrative, that if you keep a copy of whatever you type there, you can use that for your financial reports. That tells us a lot of the statistics that we need to know: how many kids, how many staff, and those kinds of questions that we ask on that form. So, and there might be other things that Jeff asks for the camps and missions, but those are the two main things: the financial, and then just the after event, the post-event report. And we also ask that, being part of a chartered camp or mission, is that you support the GCI theology and statement of beliefs, and that you complete any required GenMin training and be responsive to the GCI and GenMin leadership. So I will send out again, just as a follow-up to this, the training that we're requiring for all camp directors to have seen. I think I've got it. Let's see. I'll go back to that in a second. Yeah, so these are the 4 that we ask, we require all camp directors to watch or listen to: Risk Management 101 and 201, the camp finances, and that talks about the reporting, and then the GCI theology. So those are the big ones. And they're on our GenMin training YouTube channel, which is a string of numbers that I can't pronounce. Because I don't have 100 followers, I can't get my own name on there. It can't put GenMin training. So it's a link, and I can send that to you. Or you can go to the Google Drive, use that link, and you can actually download the MP3 and listen to it while you're driving to work or something like that. So let me go back. I know we're right almost at the top of the hour. So as we're talking about the GCMO and the chartering, last month we talked about websites and the things we wanted you to include. So we asked you to include on your websites the name of your camp, the dates of your next camp, the location of your camp, the tuition price, how to register, contact info, the camp director name. A photo would be great. Your host denominations somewhere on there, and what, kind of give an example of what your campers and staff look like. But we're adding to that list this month, and we're asking that you include, that's the wrong number there, but that the GCI statement of faith somewhere on your website, either copied in text on a page, or linked to a page at gci.org. And we've been working with Jeff, and we're going to make sure that the verbiage on that is clear on what our statement of faith is, especially in regards to marriage and sexual behaviors and those kinds of things, because that we've got to make sure that that's out there, and that we're saying where our camps stand on those issues before somebody applies. So
Can I speak up here, Ann?
please do.
This actually came from legal.
Yeah.
That they have asked us to ask each of you, and we'll go into it in greater detail. But they've asked each of us to make sure that we have it. It doesn't have to be our entire statement of beliefs. You can have those links there too, but that we have a link to our statement of faith, and that we all have the same one, right?
Right.
You know, that it's all the same one. That people who are applying to your camp, they don't have to click too far to understand certain basic things about our statement of faith. In particular, things about our statement on marriage. We don't want to get into all the inner details of all that, but that in itself will speak directly to the kind of camp we are. And we also, legal has also asked that we do one other thing. We'll talk about this a little bit more at the summit, but they've also asked that many of us, I know some of our camps moved from applications to registrations. And that difference being, rather than somebody do an application and you got to go through this approval process and send them back packets of information, we just allow people to register. Legal has asked that we make sure, even if we do a registration, that we make sure people understand that it is subject to an approval.
Absolutely.
Subject to an approval process. Because if you have just anybody who registers can be on your staff, it puts ourselves at a disadvantage and it puts them at a disadvantage.
Right.
They gave us some wording that I'll give to you guys. I'll make sure you guys get that allows us that when they register, information will go back to them saying that upon approval they will receive a packet of information, just a little basic information that says that they've been approved for the staff. If that makes sense to you guys, does that make sense to everybody?
Yes, we're talking about staff, not campers. This is
Not campers, but
staff should apply, not register. So maybe you're all doing that, but we just want to be really clear that they need to fill out an application.
We'll talk about that a little bit more at the summit, but it's important that we have some of those things on that front page or in a right clear where people can click a link.
Yeah.
And they not have to search for it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's important. And you know, the reason why we bring it up today is because the summit's not for another month, and you're hopefully having some people apply to be on staff between now and April. So go out to your website. I don't know, you know, if you're the webmaster, if you have somebody who's doing it for you, and just see if there's something out there that's clear about what we believe. And we'll get an email out to you, like Jess said, with the wording of the reply email once they apply, saying, you know, this is not a guarantee, or we have to check your references, or whatever it's going to say. And then also just look at your website and see if there's anything in there that says what our statement of beliefs are. And we've been working on trying to get a more condensed version, because you really don't want them to read the whole statement of beliefs. I mean, they can, but they won't. So we need to get kind of a condensed version that's really what applies to camps and missions. So
yeah, and some of that stuff was under the we're often asked kind of places, right? You know, that part of the I think you should have the statement of belief linked there.
Yeah.
But there was also some stuff that we're often asked, right? And and you can kind of click some of those quick ones if that makes sense to you. So, but we'll get that out to you and make it a little more deliberate for you so that you'll know where we're coming from.
I think this is just a picture of the GenMin training YouTube page. And we are 3 minutes over. Sorry, Michelle.
Michelle's gone.
Michelle's gone. Any questions on anything you've heard today, anything that might be confusing or you just want more information on? Now is the time to ask.
No, I just appreciate you guys putting together all this information in such an organized way for each meeting that we have, each webinar that we have.
You're so welcome, Stan. We're glad you're a part of the team.
Pleasure. My pleasure and my honor.
Let's say hello to the Holmeses. I know they came in a little while ago.
Oh,
hello, guys.
Hey, everybody. Let me alt tab out there so I can see.
Hi.
So Todd snuck in. Who else snuck in? Linda. Let's see. I guess
Karen's
Linda.
here.
Yeah.
Marty's still here. Mike Ermy, Stan and Kathy, Todd Woods, Mark Ann, and me. And the Burger Man.
The Burger Man. Well, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And we'll just open the...
Everybody click that hide stage button if you see it.
Yeah, if you get a hide stage button in the middle of your screen, just click it. Can everybody? Yeah, I think we're good. So any questions or concerns, anything that maybe along the way you said, oh, I hope we cover that at the summit, and you want to make sure that it gets on the agenda, feel free to speak now or send us an email.
And I'll tell you why, because we Mark and Ann and I were actually looking at the schedule for the weekend, and we really want, there's stuff that we want to cover, but if there are things that are pressing for you, and it's something that we feel like would be a wise thing to make as a part of a session rather than part of a kind of a later on off branch discussion. We want to make sure that we cover that. We want this to be worth every minute of your time.
Absolutely.
We're going to want you to want to come back. We're not going to want you to go home, actually. So the goal is let's make this fill you. So if there's something that you need or that you need, either we can cover it in a webinar or we can make sure we cover it there. But we just want to know what you're thinking. Linda, you have something.
Yes, I came in very late. but I think I sent a message suggesting that we have a longer period of time to help us do like online applications and how that whole process goes. Is that a possibility?
Can you clarify exactly what you are looking for?
Well, last year we had a get together and we kind of divided out into 5 or 6 different areas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we had the directors and team meeting there, and we hit on them, but we didn't have very much time to really delve into it a lot. So I'm wondering if we'll have more time this year to, you know, kind of walk through it, or maybe really spend a lot of time doing that.
Which
I know it's boring to most people, but to those of us who have to do it.
So online applications is the specific area that you want time with that? Okay. Yeah. So are you, let me just clarify, are you looking to find out what everybody else is doing
What's the best
in the
platform?
regards to online applications and how you might be able to either switch platforms or improve yours? Is that what you're...
Well, we're not on one right now. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So we need to, you know,
So
beginning.
it seems like one thing that might help is if we can find some time, and you know, we can either do it in between, or because we're going to have some free time in there too, where we can sit and we can have all those who do online apps or online registrations and use different platforms, pull them up
Sure.
and show you what they look like,
Yep.
and show you the cost or the benefit of either one.
And
I don't know, because Marty just had one designed for them down in Florida. And Ann and Mark, SoCal uses a different one. I know Crosswalk
Yeah.
uses a different one. Pathways uses one. There's about 4 of our camps that use
Yeah.
the same one. So yeah, I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah. I would,
Because when you get away from Summit or whatever we're calling it, and then you go back home, you're trying to figure out, okay, which one am I supposed to use? Which one's the best? How do I proceed in this? So
yeah. So
depends on you.
yeah, we'll make sure that that's like an optional breakout for those who are interested. And I'd be happy to open up a computer and get a projector, and we can, like, I love that kind of stuff. So we can look at all the different options. There's a lot of free ones that are available, and then there's like Active Network that's a little more expensive, and so we can talk about those and the pros and cons of each one. And I can't remember if we did a webinar on that before. I'll have to look back and see. I feel like we might have touched base on one webinar, but if I find that, I'll send you the link, Linda.
Yeah, didn't Shane bring up one time, or was Shane doing
Yeah,
one?
he did. Yeah.
I think that might be what she's talking about. Last year we had all those post-it boards, papers around the room, and he was talking about the one that he was using. So I'm not sure if he's going to be at the summit, but we can make sure to get the information and share
Yeah,
it.
he's not going to be able to make it this year.
Okay. I'll reach out to him and see what platform they use and maybe get a login or something that we can show it to everybody. Todd, you're looking pretty mysterious there.
He's chilling.
I know, look at him in the dark room, the interrogation room. Any other questions or thoughts or concerns or comments as we close out here?
Let me ask Karen. Karen, is there anything that you guys are hearing from a local camp perspective that you need or you would like to have happen there?
I am looking forward to learning all kinds of stuff. This is the first year that I'm organizing even just the day camp. I was wondering if Janet Morrison was going to be there. She organized our camp 2 years ago. And if she's going to be there, I'm looking forward to get any tips from her. I was around to help organize things a little bit last year, but I was gone for the actual camp itself. So I'm actually looking for all kinds of stuff. But as you said, this is just a day camp too.
Yeah.
No, it's not just a day
Not
camp.
just
It is a
Day
day camp.
sweet sister.
It's a camp.
It's a
All
camp.
of our camps accomplish the same thing. It's about
Amen.
equipping young people, introducing them to the gospel,
Raising up leaders.
and
Yep.
incorporating them into the life of the body of the church.
Amen.
So whether it's day or a week, I mean, I know Mike Ermy and the folks at Crosswalk, they're transitioning to that
Yeah.
this year. And so there's going to be lots of stuff to learn, and many of the things that they've done, even at Crosswalk, that they'll be able to just turn and walk right into it in a local day camp. I can't wait to hear how they're going to transition it and share the stuff that they're doing locally. So I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
Yeah, did I just see a note that Janet won't be there?
She won't be there. I knew that.
But Janet is a great note taker, so I'm sure she could send us with her notes and things that she used for the camp. And you'll find a lot of resources.
Just email her.
Okay.
Even though it's only 30 people, we kind of grew to converge of a couple hundred. I think we've had. I'm so excited because with those 30 people, all 30 people are just super packed with ideas and resources and information, and we're gonna have time to spend together and really pick each other's brains, and so we'll get you together with some other day campers, and you can just have time over a meal, and we've got free time scheduled. It's going to be really good. I think you guys will find it to be refreshing and encouraging, and hopefully everything you hoped it would be. And like Jeff said, it'll be worth every minute and every dollar that you spent.
And Karen, I know that Janet already sent, I know she sent it down to us last year, the stuff that she did the year before. So she'll send it again, but I know I have some of it, and I don't know if Dustin does, but I know she sent me all the stuff that she did last year too. So I have access for that. I'll pull off what I have and give it to you as well.
Okay, great.
Oh, Todd. Okay, well, we'll close in prayer and pray for Todd. I just read his message. Their staff retreat starts tomorrow, 6 inches of snow forecasted.
Ooh, yeah.
Wow, okay. Yeah, we'll be praying for Heartland to be able to do what they need to do. Okay, so any last minute thoughts before we close out in prayer? I know it's getting late for all you East Coasters.
No, it's fine.
Just love to see all of you.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. 1 month away.
I do have one last quick question, and I don't want to hold everybody up. Quick question is, if there was someone who wanted to still go at this last minute, let's say someone's spouse that couldn't initially see themselves going, but they may free themselves up, would that be possible still?
You're
This
muted.
guy's a butler.
That's a Jeff question.
Your spouse?
No, Kathy's going, Jeff. I was thinking about my my treasurer. Her husband's going, who's also an event leader.
No, all he would have to do, all they would have to do, we can still work it out. All they would have to do is register, and then they would just have to change the type of room. That's it.
Yep. Okay.
That's it. So, but I need to know this weekend, so that I can let them know.
Roger that.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah,
very good.
that's fine.
Okay.
right.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Any of you feel led to pray and pray over Todd and Heartland and their staff retreat? I think. How many do you have coming to your retreat? Linda, Todd?
When I heard, we're up around 30 or so.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be glad to.
Okay. Thanks, Dan. And just pray that we can all make it to Deer Creek safely, and that we'll get everything on the agenda that needs to be there, and all to His glory.
Oh, indeed. Precious Father, dear God, we just thank you so much for your love and your mercy, for just allowing us to be introduced to you by your Son, Jesus Christ, through the power of your Holy Spirit. Thank you for bringing us all out of darkness, Father, and thank you for the wonderful chance that we have to participate in your work. Father, we just want to thank you for just the synergy of ideas that were shared over this call, and we want to thank you for the leadership on this call that's guiding and directing all of us to just walk with you and to do your will in these camps and missions that we have a chance to be a part of. Father, we just know that this is a challenging time of the year, transition between winter and spring and inclement weather. And there in Heartland, where Todd and Linda and others are, They have many that's going to be joining them. We just ask you to provide favor to them and place your angels around them as they travel, and that they can do so safely, and that all of us can safely attend the summit coming up. And we just pray that all the details that are going into this get together, this important get together, will be able to come about. So we just pray that Dare Creek facility and staff will be receptive to all that we request, and that we can just be great ambassadors before them, and that we can all just draw close to you and really be charged with our ever close relationship with you. So we thank you for your guidance. We know that you're going ahead of us in all these events, and we just pray, Father, to just be there so we can just enjoy what you have prepared for us already. So thank you for this, and ask a blessing over especially Jeff, Mark, and Ann as they really just guide us through all these webinars, and all the folks on this call and all those that wanted to be on the call. And just we pray, Father, and we thank you for all of this in the name and by the authority of your wonderful Son, our loving elder brother and friend, Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 And I want to say thank you to all of you for being here tonight, and even those who weren't able to be here. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for understanding our why. And most importantly, thank you for being a part of the leadership development and the recruiting and the training and equipping of another generation of leaders.
Amen.
Thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. And I know the denomination does, but more importantly, God does, because we're building the body. So thank you very much for all you do.
Thank you. What you do matters.